On this edition of Dispatch, your layout photos, the question of the week, and a big flashback, starting right now. You're watching Dispatch, the variety show for model railroaders. I'm Roy Smith. Thanks for joining me. On this episode, we take a look at your layout photos. We share your responses to the question of the week, do you use JMRI? And we flash back to a video in 2017 in which I discussed Armchair Model Railroading with you. Be sure to stick around until the end of the show to see some trains running. All of that on the show, but first this. I uploaded a video called Replacing Truck Sets on Your Older Freight Cars a few days ago. I'd like to say three things in the aftermath of publishing that video. First, in the video, I referred to rapido couplers as horn hook couplers. After uploading the video, I learned that horn hook couplers and rapido couplers are not the same thing, even though they may be similar in appearance and function. Horn hooks, which you see here on the left, were standard on older HO scale rolling stock, and rapido couplers in the center were created for N scale rolling stock in the 1960s. Rapido couplers appeared on most N scale rolling stock for decades. Nowadays, of course, most N scalers want to replace any rapido couplers they may have on their older rolling stock with more realistic looking knuckle couplers, such as those made by Microtrains on the right. Second, in that same video, I referred to the freight car, which you see on the right, as a gondola. Well, in fact, a gondola is the kind of boat you see in Venice and is depicted here on the left. A gondola is the type of freight car you see on the right. Gondola, well, even an old geezer like me can learn new stuff, and I do learn new stuff just about every day. Now let's see if I can remember it for my next video. And third, in that video, you saw me replacing truck sets, which includes trucks, couplers, and wheel sets. Well, as I was doing this, I began to run out of replacements, so I had to order more. And I was able to do that thanks to generous donations to this channel by James Veronico and Randall Gates. James and Randall, I want to thank both of you. With your donations, I was able to continue to upgrade my older freight cars, and I really appreciate it. Now, if you'd like to support this channel as James and Randall have done, there's a PayPal link where you can do so in the description to this video down below. Now then, first up on the show, your layout photos. If you're like most model railroaders, you like to look at other people's layouts, and you can, right here on every episode of Dispatch. Here's how it works. You post photos of your layouts in our Facebook group. Then I bring your photos over here to Dispatch to share with everyone during the show. And here are the photos you posted since the last edition of Dispatch. After the show, I'd like you to go over to the Facebook group and post a photo of your layout there because it's fun to share the hobby. And we want to see what you're doing on your layout. I will put a link to the group down below where you can post your photos. As always, you'll know you're at the right place when you see this photo at Echo Canyon on my layout. And now it's time for our question of the week. Here's this week's question. Do you use JMRI? If so, what do you think of it? Here's how you responded to the question. A majority of you said you don't use JMRI, but at the same time, a surprising number of you said you do use it, or at least parts of it, especially to program your locomotives. A JMRI is an acronym that stands for Java Model Railroad Interface. It is a suite of free tools that you can download to your computer. For example, using Decoder Pro in the suite, you can manage your locomotive rosters and easily program your decoders. Using Panel Pro, you can build control panels and control your layout to set up signaling and other functions. And using Operations Pro, you can create manifests that route cars across your railroad from shipper to receiver and provide train crews with operating instructions. By the way, the Pro in the names stands for programmer. So what did you have to say about it? Many of you said you're not ready for it yet, but maybe you will be in the future. Others of you said it's complicated and takes a lot of work to set up. Richard Chappell Sr. said, I do not have JMRI yet. I hope to soon, though, after I find the book JMRI for Dummies. I hear you, Richard. I need that book too. Those of you who do use it said it takes a bit of time and effort to set up at first, but once you got it set up, it's easy to use and very helpful in operating your layout. I can't even begin to tell you how to set it up and how to use it in this short segment of the show. All I can do is encourage you to learn more about it and try it out for yourself. Here's what I recommend if you've never used it. Go to the JMRI homepage to learn more about it. I will put a link to the homepage down below. Download it from the homepage and play around with it, or at least parts of it. You can't beat the price. It's absolutely free. It may seem overwhelming at first, but the more you learn about it, the more you may want to use it on your layout. There are tons of videos about it on YouTube. Me? Well, I have created a roster of my locomotives in JMRI, but mostly I've used it for speed matching locomotives that I want to run in multiple unit lash-ups. I'm really excited about JMRI, and I hope to begin making regular use of it as soon as I can. I encourage you to do the same. Well, I'd like to thank all of you who responded to this question. And now we do have a question for the next episode of Dispatch, and here it is. Do you ever become discouraged by the slow progress you seem to be making on your layout, especially when your friends on YouTube are making what looks like rapid progress? As always, be sure to post your answers to the question in the comments section down below. Then I will tabulate your answers and discuss the results in the next edition of Dispatch. Again, the question for the coming episode of Dispatch is, do you ever become discouraged by the slow progress that you seem to be making on your layout, especially when your friends on YouTube are making what looks like rapid progress? Now it's time for our big flashback. In tonight's flashback, I'm going to take you back in time to October 2017, when I uploaded a video called Armchair Model Railroading. In that video, I asked, what is armchair model railroading, and why do we do it? Throughout the video, I described how I applied the principles of armchair model railroading to planning for and building my N-scale layout. And I included views of my layout as it existed at that time to illustrate those principles. Right up front, I need to apologize for the audio in the upload. The concrete walls of my house create an echo, and it wasn't until later on that I began to learn about the techniques of good video production. But I do believe that everything I said in the video is just as important and as valid today as it was back then. Hopefully the video will give you lots to think about if you're planning to build a new layout, or if you're thinking about making changes to your existing layout. Let's go back and take a look at a short clip from the video right now. Hi, I'm Roy Smith. I'm reading an article about the soda ash industry in southwestern Wyoming, an industry that is served by the Union Pacific Railroad. The article appears in the Streamliner, the official magazine of the Union Pacific Historical Society. Why am I sitting here reading this article? Because it contains information about the prototype that I am modeling. What I'm doing right now qualifies as Armchair Model Railroading, and that's what I'd like to talk to you about today, Armchair Model Railroading. Armchair Model Railroading simply means spending time thinking about what you might like to do before you actually do it. It means visualizing the layout of your dreams in your mind before you begin to build the layout. And it also means visualizing changes that you might like to make on your existing layout before you actually make those changes. There's a couple of things I'd like to say about Armchair Model Railroading right up front. First, the armchair is optional. In fact, I do most of my armchair model railroading at my computer. The second, armchairing doesn't mean that you're not a model railroader. And third, it definitely is not a waste of time. In fact, I believe that armchair model railroading is an essential part of the hobby. Why? Because everything that has ever been created began with a thought or an idea. I hope you enjoyed this flashback, and I hope you will watch Armchair Model Railroading in its entirety. I will put a link to it down below. Feel free to post your thoughts about it in the comment section. Now, don't go away, because there are more than 300 other videos for you to watch right here on this channel. Go to my videos page and browse around. There's a link to it down below. Or you can watch these videos over here just by clicking on them. Well, thanks for letting me share the world's most amazing hobby with you here on Dispatch. As always, I'm Roy Smith. Until next time, happy railroading.